Good morning, beloved family in the light. So much love. Blessed Sunday to all of you. Let me see who's coming on to join us a little bit. Good morning. Evrim, what a beautiful name. Thank you for joining. And let's welcome other beloveds joining us. Please just share where you're joining from, what city, country, as I have just come. Hello, Lisa. Good morning. I've just finished the morning prayer meditation and just lots of tears. Tears from the grace of God. Tears from, oh, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, joining. Hello, Ricardo. Hello, Demetrius. Thank you so much. Tears from the grace of God on this Sunday, luminous day, from the great central sun coming in as I've begun the day. And I woke up really early. There's a lot of incredible frequency of light moving through Earth, and all of us on Earth. Thank you from Cincinnati. Thank you so much. Demetrius, good morning, darling, from London. Thank you so much for just coming on spontaneous, as I feel called to share this with all of us, bringers of light today. As I woke up this morning, I felt this remarkable celebration of light. This celebration of light, good morning, Debbie, welcome. This celebration of light is the light of our luminous selves that is being recalled back to us. Hello, Danielle. Thank you so much from Wisconsin. And I'm going to stop saying hello so I can just allow the message to come in. I really felt truly this, and I've been feeling this for a while, this remarkable true celebration of light. And this celebration of light, in its unification of light, in its streaming light, in its full weaving of light that has been anchored on the planet, on our beautiful Terra, which they call Gaia, which was called Earth before. This remarkable weaving of light is the result of many of us that incarnated into this plane, into this density construct, just so that we can deconstruct it by going through our own awakening, reawakening, and the realignment back to source light, to fuel ourselves from the source of our own mighty I am presence, none other on the outside rather than within. And within that, replugging back to source, to that golden light, by unplugging from the true matrix, which is only existing in the minds. Only it can touch the mind that has been controlled, psyop, and all of that. Because in the heart, it is not able to exist. It actually doesn't exist, any of the matrix. So as we've been able to come back to our heart and allowing our heart to take charge, allowing the seat of the soul that is the governor of all its full omnipresence to take its action from the living heart that carries it all, then we've been able to slowly watch this defragmentation take place and the matrix slowly crumbling, and the many hands of eons of hands that have taken part to hold this matrix of artificial life, truly artificial life, not through the natural divine law, divine government, divine in any of those presences, they have been able to allow this to take place, and we have given consent to it willingly and unwillingly, consciously and unconsciously, by buying the program that has only been able to operate and run because it's been tied into this matrix, which is not really matrix. We can't really call it matrix because it's more MindTrix, truly. And from here, we've been able to liberate ourselves by becoming awakened to it so that we can see it. One of the things that my team has shared with me is that the reason why we can, some of us through our awakening journey, can truly see the symbology, see the programming, literally see the programs, and choose to not give consent to them, is because we, in many incarnations, have taken part in also that infiltration, in that support, and then coming into this incarnation, we knew, many of us volunteers coming from many different solar systems, galaxies, universes, and fully trained to come back and release these living codes through our DNA, with its not just 12 strands of DNA, the full 64 codexes, but all of them carrying different qualities of divine, being able to bring it back into ourselves so that we can be the living presence. As the living presence, mean as a divine sovereign presence that is freed from this mind tricks that has created a reality for humanity so that it can run its program, and without individuals knowing, they're hypnotized or conditioned, that they have bought into, and they've only been able to buy into it because they have been operating from the program of fear. The minute that fear has been faced, the program truly crumbles, because once you see through its illusion, fear is an illusion, because the biggest fear is that some harm will be done to you, to your family, to your family members. So the ultimate fear is it will be so-called death, which we know doesn't also exist because it is a transition from one state of presence to another state of presence. So when through the awakening journey, when we have remembered this, we have become consciously aware, and yet we are operating from the borrowed vehicle of this human garment. Then we're taking care of it, and we're taking care of it as a holy sanctuary, holy temple, so that this living presence can do its work through. And this living presence includes our galactic self. It includes our celestial self. It includes our divine self. So as a result of it, we're very easily able to see, and we can discern very, very easily, and we don't get pulled to what is being played out. Like, we don't get pulled into many areas that is designed to pull us, and we can see, let's say, what is happening on Earth. Particularly, we're in Washington, D.C. It's a major area right now with what is being dismantled, what has had to surface, so that, let's just say, the debris that has to be brought into the surface, that has been brought into the surface because of all the layers underneath that have pushed this finally out to the surface. And yet many light workers across, many bringers of light across, many starseeds, and some way-showers are caught, unfortunately, in the program that is being dismantled and crumbling versus staying above and be the observer watching that in which has to crumble and play out and dismantle, because we have been the spheres of light in this golden template of the crystalline light, so that our true eternal flame can blast the light through and we can anchor it onto Gaia. So from this presence, we have been able to connect with the others who are of the same frequency, connecting in the hearts through our hands, literally weaving together our full 64 codes of the DNA that are completely in the diamond light frequency, so that we can allow together the plasma light shine, so that the rest can come into their remembrance, so they can get pulled into this literally magnetic field of light and be not pardoned, but be pulled away from the MindTrix into the heart space, so that they can snap out of it and see what is being played out, must crumble, play out. So the new divine governments, under the divine law, under the divine governing through the purity flame, are able to fully be anchored by us. We are the ones we've waited for. We've heard this through the prophecies, but in doing it through action, unfortunately, we put so much into, let's say, some of the celestial realms, some of the galactic realms, some of the even many other realms, but we've opened up ungrounded, so we're receiving a lot of faulty information. And the way you can discern through the faulty information is very easy when you're first anchored totally in the flame of your heart, in your diamond template, and you completely grounded into the center of Gaia and the center of the mighty I Am presence in its source light, in its luminous, eternal, self-fed flame light that never goes out, into your eternal presence, you're able to see instantly, as a frequency, as a geometry, what is a pure material, what is impure, what is like reflecting the full spectrum of the radiant light with the material presented, and what is not. So you can see through the illusion, and you can see through the frequency with the program is operating in its construct of the code, in like to use psyop literally to control and manipulate you, or it is pure radiance that communicates celebration, freedom, sovereignty, and the true nature that is peace, because it doesn't pull anywhere on you. It doesn't, and it recognizes the divine perfection, truly divine perfection. So this morning in my prayer meditation, I was just feeling so much of this radiance of luminous divine love. And this divine love that is here for all of us, it's already been anchored. This holy Christed presence in all of us has already been awakened. There is no second coming of Christ. The second coming Christ is your own Christed being that has become crystalline, that is able to now, through its facets, radiate the 64 codons of the light through the DNA, not just 12, so much more. The octaves of light has completely been expanded in a full spectrum of radiance of the new human template, which is carrying the hue spectrum of light. So from this place, yes, we are the new humanity within this timeline, yet we are the ancient beings of light that come in with this full knowledge, awareness, remembrance, and are here to just deliver it in our divine sovereign essence. So it's not to go to take part with the sacred frequency, with the programs that are still running. And also, one of the interesting things is that to watch where others are and what is resonating with you within this magnetic field that is drawing you together, and what is not resonating. So one of the things that I have found is the change in friendships again, complete shift in friendships that does naturally happen, because when you align more into this place within the crystalline corridor of your own diamond frequency, within that the dismantling of the MindTrix has been happening. So it pulls away from the matrix, and it allows you to not be attached to things that you were attached before, such as gender, race, political affiliation, job title, sexual orientation. All of these things, if that is a program that is still so heavily running into you, that means you are still very much playing part within this MindTrix matrix that has held you within that place. When you recognize you as a divine sovereign being is, that does not need to become. It already is, has always been, it always will be, as an eternal flame of light, as a luminous radiance of a self-fed flame that never, ever fails, that can never go out, that can never be diminished. From that state of presence and conscious awareness, your 50 trillion cells recognizes it, and within that your emotional body within its water molecules recognizes it, and from that your mental body releases these cords that have been attached to them. From there it releases you also from the etheric plane that has been showing you different imagery, visualization, that has played part of reducing your full conscious presence into a construct that has been very limited and not allowing you to fully radiate and breathe the breath of the great one omnipresence light that is within all of us, that creates all of us, because we are it. We are the living creator of that same consciousness in that same sparkling light. So from here, then you own your truth. There's no leaking your sacred energy and playing a part in what has to dismantle, because you do not identify your essence, your radiant presence, with the faulty perception of a being who is so-called, let's say, Jewish or Muslim or Buddhist. You do not even, it doesn't even resonate. You do not resonate yourself as being a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't even resonate. You do not resonate yourself resonate with any kind of, it doesn't resonate. These things no longer resonate with a job title, any of those, because you only resonate with the I that is the great might that becomes the I am. That I am recognizes itself as the one living presence that is in all. So from there, it dismantles from the MindTrix, because you're in the heart and you are able to experience all of it in that I am. In the I am, these things do not exist. I am, but you recognize it's the fabric. It is the debris within this fabric that sometimes you have to go like this, like a dust, to shake it so that it falls off. And then this vacuum of the Christed presence, your own crystalline diamond light, can vacuum it completely out and allow it to transmute in the etheric temples of light and be transmuted back into light in mercy's flame, because that also is there. So again, this morning, why I'm sharing this with you, because I was sitting here and I was feeling the collective grief that people are like, oh my gosh, we've been censored, we can't get the material, or oh wow, finally so and so is getting impeached, or so and so is taking their house in the Capitol. The consciousness is so drawn to the narrative on the surface versus expansion of the celebration. Let's really celebrate this now, that the Annunaki era that has taken so much part on this beautiful living library of earth for so long, together with the Greys, together with the Dracos, together with the reptilians, have finally been able to be dismantled. This is the true celebration that nobody's talking about it. I want to celebrate with my fellow galactic star being friends that recognize, holy shizzle, that is the true celebration, that this era finally, where they have lost their operating, let's say, operations of systems, has finally been dismantled. And the only way it's been dismantled because Gaia has awoken. Gaia has been part of the divine plan. She is a living goddess, star being that has to take her seat in the great Galactic Federation of Light, and requires her to be Terra. That's how they recognize her. But she needed her humanity, her children, to align with her through the grid work, to align with the unity Christ consciousness grids, so they can fully be anchored into the network of that through the wisdom trees of light. All these trees are antennas that are carrying the living codes, and they're implementing them into the crystals of earth, and through the water system plug into the same network of light, so that we can become awakened to him. And that's why there's been so much effort on the outside through the MindTrix, the matrix that only can exist there, so that we can be not fully aware of this, so our visions cannot be seen anymore and blocked in multiple ways. We know this, so that we don't see what's going on, yet on the plain sight before us through every television, the vision of the lies, telling a lie, vision, the vision, as well as music videos, fashion industry, all of this, even, gosh, I mean, there's books and magazines and everything, all of that, the information also has been in plain sight to be able to see the symbology, to be able to see the codes, to be able to see the holograms, so that we can become awakened to what is in plain sight, that because it also has had to be in plain sight, but a little bit fabricated, you can't fully see. And then that's how you've been able to give your consent to it, by literally just giving your consent to it. So from here is then been this great celebration for those of us who took that, literally, that awakening time release capsule. It was never a red pill or a blue pill, ever. It was the internal time release capsule pill. With each of us, there was that moment that we had to make that choice and take the journey, and we did. And that's what released that time release capsule, which was designed on a soul plane. We come in to then blast open, like mine was the age of 7, experiencing the multi-dimensional reality in a fatal car crash, trapped, and then coming out of my body, completely going out to see who I really was, which was not this little 7-year-old girl trapped where the car is about to blow up in fire and my parents are dead. That did not take place. My time release capsule opened up, not experiencing the tragedy, experienced the luminosity of the light, and that awakened my consciousness so that I can start my journey. But then it couldn't fully go into full effect because I had to then fully experience the density to then see what it is that I'm bringing my light into, so that it can be dismantled, what it is that I'm bringing my heart into, so that the MindTrix can dismantle, so that it can become no more a matrix. It can become a crystalline diamond field of light, filled with Christed light, the true luminosity of all of our holy, happily say Christed selves, merging as one in this luminosity of light, because the living libraries of Gaia, Terra, has always encoded all of this, and we can only access the living libraries from a very pure heart place within the diamond. And this diamond that allows us, it's never to go by this diamond. They've been harvesting diamond on earth so much, literally doing so much damage and raping of our beautiful mother in looking for the diamond. All meanwhile, they are the living diamond that's priceless. It's the ultimate jackpot that no money can ever qualify or quantify for how enriched this presence already is, because it is backed up by the data of the living omnipresence of the mighty I Am, the great source light, the Alpha and Omega, Divine Mother, Divine Father already encoded inside. So this celebration for me is the release finally of the Annunaki, of eons on here, this beautiful living library jewel that many of us starseeds did take part millions of years ago in assisting in creating this beautiful planet Earth, that we knew her as Terra. That's how we created her, and we embedded part of our consciousness into her crystals, into her gold. That's why, and also the diamond, so we put it in it. That's why many of us starseeds are so connected to the crystals, because that's part of us remembrance. We know this from eons and eons ago, and we have reincarnated back to Terra with our libraries from the other lifetimes, from the lives in other star systems, such as Mind Lyra, Sirius, of course, Arcturus, the great red fiery planet, and many, many others, Pleiades, even Materia, and there's so many others that are most people don't even know about because they haven't remembered the consciousness. So here we are now in the celebration, that one part, the Annunaki, that could not take part in the Galactic Federation of Light, that there's always been this incredible manipulation that has been part of literally taking part so that you can give your will in exchange for something. But as we have come to that divine sovereignty, it's no longer, I will release this to you in exchange of gaining this. We have become a divine sovereign society as a collective light being, so that if we share something, we share it from the highest good, and we do not want anything in return, so that there's no manipulation and control on that. And that's what was done for eons, from the Anunnakis to the Greys, to the reptilians, and of course Dracos, and plus there's so much more into this. But we have brought the living presence back within us through our reawakening back to who we are as a great, holy, mighty I am presence, the great mighty I am presence that can no longer be food because that frequency doesn't exist in such presence. So those of us who have had our time release captured, released kind of earlier, we have been the way showers of this, and we still anchored. And our job has been to anchor in embodiment and continue, and not give our sacred presence and frequency to what is playing out, what is dismantling, what must be transmuted back into light. So we've been the container and space folders with pure love, so all of this can be dismantled back into the light. And we have been able to do it through the power of not the human love, because that's been limited, by the power of the divine love, to allow it to come through, to be the new construct as the living cities of light. It is such a celebration to walk with you in this now. It is such a celebration to watch and dismantle not what is playing in the news media, but what is being played out in plain sight. Because when you know things are going to deep censorship, that means the light has totally shined up on what is behind the scene that does not want to be seen, must be controlled even at a faster rate. So when you know this, you continue to stay in this container light, even greater, even stronger, even more present through the great I am, because you're creating the new presence together as the living cities of light. All the cities of light, the 101 temples, have already been created. They're being anchored here. That's why so many of us have had to do the grid work for years. Go first, do layering and layering the grid work. Some of us, like me, started 8 some years ago, had to first do the clearing underneath the frequency that was utilized to carry these, let's say, MindTrixes for eons, and to fuel the beings who needed their own source of light, kind of not source of light, source of, let's just say, their food, because their food is fear. Their food is despair. Their food is hopelessness. It is a living parasite. When you want to, just like when you want to detox your body is going to go into a system shock a little bit because it has been feeding from it. So when we want to dismantle this feeding tube, it doesn't like it. It's going to retaliate more. And that's also the natural part of it until it can fully withdraw, go another place. And each of us, one by one, through that inner living time release capsule that we released within us, that was part of our soul agreement through our soul group, come here individually. We released that. We became conscious one by one, just like one of the biggest things with all of our journeys had been to start changing our food, to start changing the jobs. One of the things to move completely out of reading newspaper, magazines, and media. It is quite fascinating to me that still many light workers actually buy into the media. They actually listen to the mainstream media, because that's the first thing we dismantled as light workers, because we're like, it's a program, we can't consent to it anymore. So anyway, having said that, these are all been many steps, and through this clearing the temple of literally the house of God, so the great mighty I am through the Holy Christ itself, as we become crystalline, can come in and be the living embodiment, can deliver the work by the grace and the qualities of the divine love. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to do it at all. And again, just to come back, we came to do this together. Finally, we've arrived at the arriving point where individual work that we did in our reawakening has now come to the next phase of the soul group to completely pool these together even greater, so that Terra can take her seat on the Galactic Federation of Light. We are the star seeds, at least those of you that you know you're a living star seed. You seeded yourself unto Gaia, so that the living codes, the living light, and the living libraries can merge together and be embodied, and the release of the 64 templates through your DNA can fully be released and be anchored without disruption. And the first step has been to not give consent anymore to the MindTrix, so that the living matrix can crumble. The living matrix only exists in the mind. That's why we call it MindTrix. It cannot exist when you are in the heart, because you're able to experience a different dimensional conscious reality, and you can experience the celebration, like me, in the celebration of the light that is here, and all that fabrication also will transmute back into the light, because that too is part of its transformation. When these so-called parasites have removed their frequency back, then it is the action of our violet flame continuously throughout the day as the living action of transmutation, allowing these to transmute back into light. And those of us that can bring the codings through the geometric pattern, we're taking part in all of this transmuting back into light by the power of Almighty within, and the authority within that created this as the living presence. So this is why I'm celebrating, because it is the victorious light that's been handed to each of us, and we are living truly in the biblical consciousness, what's been written in the Bible. It is the revelation, and each of us in this beautiful freedom flame that's been handed to us, like Lady Persia, Master Lady Persia that showed me. We each carry the book of Revelation because we are the living revelation through our living libraries. And we are all given the opportunity to open the book of Revelation. And the book only opens in your heart. It cannot open in your head, can't open in your mind. It doesn't have access. So you, as the living key, have to open it by the power and the purity and the dominion of your own sacred heart flame. And it is as the diamond heart that opens it, your own book of Revelation, which is the Lovolution, that you can read fully all that has already been created, that has always been here, that will always be in the divine perfection. You can only experience it as a direct nectar when you give yourself permission in the allowance. Today is day 17th. This day 17th, coming into this year, we've been journeying each day, embracing one of the qualities of divine. The divine qualities. There are 144. Each of them are spread through each of the 12 chakras. Today has been incredible because we've been journeying through I am acceptance, I am accountable, I am activity, I am adoration, I am allowance, I am attention, I am authority, I am awareness, I am balance, I am beauty, I am boundless, I am boldness, I am bravery, I am calmness, I am caring, so therefore I'm sharing. So each day anchoring these divine qualities, because it is within our living library, in our book of Revelation, in our spheres of light, in our diamond crystalline template that's radiating the plasma from the great central sun in these rays of light as the new human with its spectrum of light. So it has been a profound call, and it is a celebration that finally they have been able to be dismantled and transmuted back into light. And that is the victorious light that I'm celebrating. And I'm so excited on my HoniB Board and Author Speaker Healer page on my YouTube channel to start a Galactic talk series. Let's really bring the goods out, because all is safe, all is wonderful, and we no longer are giving our presence. So here, as I'm watching you, there are 14 people watching, and there's an eye that is looking. So here's the eye of my heart doing the looking back, blasting you, because my great mighty I am sees you. And the living MindTrix no longer exists in the lens of my heart. Whew. If you're watching this, on top there is the watch eye, and every time you see those, you can blast it right back, reflect it back, and to let them know the great I Am is watching, and you have no power. Infinite love and blessings to all of you. In that name of the great mighty I Am, and in the great name of the mighty I am that I am, and all of us together are the great mighty beloved I Am that has answered the call. And now it's the victorious light of the celebration. Let us sit back, enjoy this dance, because it is true celebration. Come here above and watch the celebration and take part, because that time has finally arrived. Infinite love and blessings to all of you, and thank you so much for being with me on this Sunday. Blasting from Helios Vestas and from great Alpha and Omega in the great central sun. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching, resharing, being, and stay in your heart.